In this video, I'm going to show you a great trick, how to group the lowest value together in the category Other. But more than that, I'm going to create this dynamically. That means, if I add a new country, like for instance, Germany in this case, as you can see, when I refresh my query, I add a new row in my final table with a value for Germany, but not for the other country. I show you this in this video. So, what is a technique to group the lowest value together inside the same category, Other? Well, first, what we need to do is to create a new table with the name of the country I want to keep. And now, second step is to insert these two tables inside the tool Insert Table. Otherwise, Power Query will not be able to visualize and to understand this data. Does this table has either yes, and very important, immediately you have to rename your table from the tab Table Design. And why it's important to rename your table? Well, like that it will be easier for you to find this information in Power Query. And the same here, Insert Table, this time I have to check this. Like that, this is my table country, and not necessarily, but it's better like this. I change the color like that. I know that it's not the same data. Then, what I have to do, it's to load this data to Power Query. So I go to Data, from Table and Range, my data are loaded now in Power Query, exactly the same information. And what I do here, I click on Close and Load, but watch out, Close and Load 2, because I don't want to duplicate this value, so I just create connection only. You can see here that I have my query and no other duplication of this data. And I do the same for the table country. Close and load. 2. I want to create only the connection. And now here is a trick. Or I can connect these two tables or these two queries together to collect only the value here. Well, to do that, I'm going to create a third query. So here I open Power Query by double click. I open the pane Queries, and from this point I'm going to create a new query. So reference. So here it looks like I have duplicated the query cells, but in fact the first step, the source, is the latest of this query table cell. And I'm going to rename this new query Result. Next, I need to add a new column with the result if the country is in this other query. But for the moment, let's just create a basic conditional column in Power Query. And what is a test? My countries. So I select the column country and I say is it equal to, for the moment I just say is it equal to France. If it's the case, I return the column country, otherwise other. So what do we see here? When the value in this column country equal FR, I return FR, France. But for all the other country, it's other. Logic when you look at the test. And here is a trick. In fact, instead of writing the test like this, I'm going to replace this part of the test by a M function, and this function is List.Contains. Like this. And what is this function? In fact, it's going to compare two lists of value, and if the result is equal, it will return true. So here, what is my list? My list is the name of my query and between brackets the name of my column. Country, so this is the name of my query and between brackets. So this is the first argument of this m function. And the second part is just the column country of this query. And now, when I press enter, you can see that. So I remind you, we have France, United Kingdom, Italy. So each time I have Italy, United Kingdom, or France, it's exactly the value I return. But for all the other countries, Denmark, it's other, Austria, it's other, Spain, it's other, and so on. And now, to summarize all the value in function of the country or other, I go to transform, group by not the country, but my countries, the one I want to keep. I want to count all the rows exactly like a count if function, but also I want to do the sum. And this time, instead of count the row, I sum somewhat the cells. And it works. Now I can return to Excel, close and load to, in a table, but not in a new worksheet, in this worksheet, here. And let's try if it works. Now, if I put, for instance, Austria, and I refresh the queries, I have Austria, and the value of Austria has been removed from other.
So, as you can see, it was not very complex and it's very useful. Well, there is something else to add. I have to custom the sort, because what I want at the end is to have always the row other at the bottom of my document. And I show you this in another video.